He freed the alien gladiator, and she decided he belonged to her. The first time I saw her, she was on her knees with a chain welded to the floor. The arena pit stank of coolant, blood, and burnt protein paste. Floodlights hummed overhead, throwing harsh white rectangles across concrete. Behind me, the muffled roar of the crowd seeped through the bulkheads, thousands of gamblers chanting for more carnage, while the house rigged odds and recycled the air. I was supposed to be here for 20 minutes. In, copy the data from the house servers, out through the docking tunnels before anyone realized the Terran Defense Corps had stuck its nose into their little slave-fighting enterprise. Instead, I was crouched in an auxiliary prep bay staring at a purple alien woman whose eyes were the color of toxic neon. Her skin wasn't just purple, it was that deep ultraviolet hue that seemed to drink in light. Thin lines of bioluminescent markings traced along her collarbones and arms, glowing turquoise like someone had drawn constellations across her body. A regulation-issue shock cuff circled each wrist, the left clipped to a chain bolted into the floor plates. She wore a tight, sleeveless combat shift the color of dried moss. It did nothing to hide the power in her shoulders, or the way every muscle in her thighs tightened as she braced to move. She balanced on her knees like a coiled spring, one that had been stepped on too many times. Her gaze snapped to me the second the prep bay door slid shut behind my back. "Human," she said, tongue curling oddly around the consonants. "You are lost." I almost said I'm starting to think so, but remembered I was undercover. So I went with the persona intel had cooked up. "New handler," I grunted, mimicking the bored swagger of the slavers I'd spent 3 weeks spying on. "Management wants you in the pit for the final bout. I'm here to check your restraints." Her expression didn't change, but the chain rattled softly as she tightened her grip on it. "If you are my handler," she said, "where is your control rod?" Crap. Of course there was a control rod. I kept my face blank. "Misplaced. You giving me trouble?" A slow smile cut across her mouth. It was not reassuring. "If I give you trouble," she said patiently, "you die before you can scream." I believed her. Up close, she didn't look like the other arena stock I'd seen in the security feeds. They were brutalized, hollow-eyed, moving the way people moved when they'd been taught pain was the only answer. She watched everything, calculated. There was a scar running from the tip of her left-pointed ear down along her jawline, pale against the dark purple. Someone had tried to cut that ear off and failed. I checked the chrono in my visor display. 17 minutes left before extraction windows slammed shut. I should have walked past her, gone straight to the terminal in the corner, jacked in, stolen the fight houses, transaction records and trafficking routes, and left. That was the mission. Save thousands, not one. But she was still kneeling, still chained, still staring at me like she was daring me to be cruel. "Designation?" I asked, mostly to buy time as the guilt crawled up my spine. Her lip curled. "Property." I swallowed. "What do they call you?" "Gladiator 7, she said. A beat, and then, very softly, "Lira, before." I glanced at the chain, at the bruising on her wrists where the metal bit in, at the way she carefully held herself, like any unnecessary movement might be punished. "Lira," I repeated. Her pupils dilated. The glow marks along her throat flickered once, a minuscule change I might have missed if I hadn't been staring. An unexpected anger flared hot in my chest. Screw it. I crossed the prep bay in 3 strides. She tensed, arm jerking, chain clinking. I held my hands out, palms open, the way we'd been trained to approach skittish civilians. "I am not going to hurt you," I said quietly. "You already are," she replied. "You are breathing." "Wow," I muttered. "We're starting with insults. Good sign." Her brows knit in confusion at my tone. She clearly hadn't meant it as a joke. I crouched, close enough now to see the hairline cracks in the floor weld and the faint tremor in her shoulders. The restraint lock on the cuff was standard syndicate tech, cheap, mean, and illegal on every civilized world. I could bypass it in about 10 seconds. The logical part of my brain. Dane, if you break that chain, you blow your cover, compromise the mission, and probably die. The louder, angrier part. So? I leaned in, lowering my voice until it barely carried over the distant crowd. My name is Dane Calder, I said. I'm with the Terran Defense Corps, not the Arena. I'm here on an intel op. I can't unlock every chain in this place, but I can unlock yours. She stared at me, lips slightly parted. Why? She asked. Because you're the first person I've seen here who looks like they remember what hope feels like. Because slavery is illegal under Corps law, I said instead. Because this is wrong. Because I can. She laughed once, a bitter, scraping sound. Humans, she said, always believing you can fix the galaxy with a wrench and a promise. Good news, I said. I also brought the wrench. Her eyes flicked to my belt, where, yes, a multi-purpose vibrospanner hung next to my sidearm. Her gaze returned to my face, weighing something. If you free me, she said slowly, you will be hunted. The Arena Masters paid much for my capture. I am profitable. The word tasted like poison in her mouth. Yeah, I figured the assassination liability part, I said. Still not a fan of the whole sentient being on a chain aesthetic. Look, we can have a vocabulary lesson later, I said. Yes or no, Lira? I'm running. Out of time. She hesitated. The arena noise surged, some fight ending violently, judging by the sudden roar. The overhead intercom crackled with distant announcements. Then she extended her bound hand to me, fingers curling around the chain like she was offering it up. Yes, human, she said. Free me, and see what the galaxy does in answer. Up close, the lock was as crude as I'd hoped. I slid a bypass chip from my sleeve, popped the casing, and went to work. Lira watched, breathing shallowly. No flinch, no wince, even when the cuff sparked and the charge circuit powered down with an ugly whine. You have done this before, she observed. I practice on smugglers, I said. They complain more than you do. They have less to lose, she replied. The cuff clicked open. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the chain slithered to the floor. She stared at her bare wrist like she didn't quite believe it. The skin beneath the metal was raw, rubbed nearly silver white. I felt something twist in my gut. Can you stand? I asked. She blinked, almost offended. I can kill 10 men with my hands bound. Standing is not... She tried to get up. The first attempt ended with her leg buckling and her catching herself on one palm, teeth bared. The second got her halfway before her balance went, and she swayed dangerously. I reached out on instinct, grabbing her elbow. Easy, I said. They've probably been drugging your food, or the cuff's been microshocking your muscles. She hissed in frustration, but didn't pull away from my grip. I do not like easy, she said. Yeah, well, I don't like you face-planting into the floor. We don't always get what we want. Her gaze flicked from my hand on her arm to my face. Then, unexpectedly, she nodded. Then we both must adapt, she said. Welcome to the human condition. With my shoulder braced under hers, we got her upright. She was tall, taller than me by a few centimeters even without boots. Up close, her glow marks pulsed faintly in time with her heartbeat, patterns shifting as if reacting to some internal current. How many fights? I asked, guiding her toward the far wall where the maintenance hatch waited, not part of the official arena layout, very much part of mine. Since capture? She asked. 8. Since childhood? I lost count. Childhood, I repeated, anger back, sharp and useless. My people train young, she said. It is how we survive. The arena masters like this. They called it efficient. Yeah, I've met their kind, I muttered. They usually cry when we arrest them. It's the most rewarding part of the job. We reached the hatch. I popped the panel with my spanner, bypassed the alarm, and slid it open to reveal a narrow service corridor crawling with cables and condensation pipes. Lira stared into the darkness, then back at the main door. You are sure this is not a waste? Shoot? She asked. If it is, we'll both smell terrible and I'll die embarrassed, I said. Come on. She tilted her head. Humans make humor when they are afraid. We make humor especially when we're afraid, I corrected. It's how we cope with the unbearable horror of existence. I thought that was screaming. That too. She gave the smallest huff of amusement. Progress. We ducked into the maintenance tunnel. The hatch slid shut behind us, cutting off the harsh arena light. Emergency strips along the floor cast a faint, sickly phosphor glow. Where are we going? Lira asked. Docking ring, I said, pulling up the schematics on my visor. I have a ship. Well, the Corps has a ship. I'm just the idiot they let drive it. You are stealing me, she said. Rescuing, I corrected. In many cultures, this is the same as stealing. Well, I said, ducking under a low beam, they can file a complaint with the nearest ethics committee and see how far that gets them. We moved as quickly as her legs would allow, which, frankly, was faster than I'd expected once the initial weakness passed. She paced beside me, hand occasionally brushing the wall for balance, gaze sharp. Dane Calder, she said after a while, tasting my name like it was a new food. You risk much for one slave. I don't like that word, I said. What word do your people use? Person. Her glow marks brightened, just a shade. Person, she repeated quietly. And if this person decides she does not wish to go where you are taking her? I stopped, almost smacking my head on a low strut. Do you? I asked. She considered. I wish to leave this place. I wish to see my home stars again, though they may be ash. I wish to see your world, to learn why your kind makes jokes when death breathes on their necks. I wish to break many bones of those who profited from my pain. That's a lot of wishes, I said. We can workshop a plan. But if you ever decide you'd rather go somewhere else, I'll take you. That's what freedom is. Freedom, she echoed. The words seemed to sit heavy on her tongue, as if it had barbs. On my world, freedom was the air. We did not think to name it. On mine, we wrote it into laws, and then had to keep reminding ourselves to honor them. You sound tired, she observed. I am tired, I said, but I'm also stubborn, and unfortunately for the bad guys, that means I'm still here. She studied me for a long moment as we walked, then said very gravely, Dane Calder, I have made a decision. That's ominous, I muttered. Go on. When a warrior saves another in the pits, she said, and takes them from certain death, we say a bond has formed. Life debt, some call it. I do not like that phrase. It smells of chains. But the truth remains, you have tied your fate to mine. Technically, I've untied your fate from a floorbolt, I said. Minor distinction. I will honor this bond in the way of my people, she continued, ignoring me. I will protect you. I will fight beside you. I will ensure you do not die of your own foolishness. And, she added thoughtfully, I will claim you. I blinked. Claim me for what, exactly? Her eyes gleamed in the dim light. As mate. I walked into a pipe. The impact rattled my teeth. Lira caught my arm as I staggered, absolutely failing to suppress a cough of laughter. You are not injured, she asked, entirely too innocent. I'm fine, I wheezed. Just what? On my world, she said, tone now very instructional, when someone performs a deed of extraordinary courage, and one's heart stirs, one may declare intent. I declare mine. You are now my chosen. That's not... I flailed for sanity. That is not how consent works on my planet. She frowned. Consent? Mutual agreement. Both people have to say yes, preferably while not being hunted by mobsters in a sewer. Her expression softened, just a fraction. Then do you say no, Dane Calder? That was a trap question if I'd ever heard one. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. Because did I want to say no? She was terrifying, beautiful, clearly traumatized, and we had known each other for exactly 9 minutes. This had to be some kind of record. Humanity had whole training modules on not developing savior complexes toward rescued civilians. Also on not fraternizing in the field. So I knew what the correct answer was. I say, I managed, "that we table this discussion until we're not about to be chased by armed goons." Her smile returned, sharper this time. "Then you do not say no." "That is not—" But the corridor shook with a distant boom, followed by the wail of a security siren. I swore. "They found the empty chain." Lyra's gaze sharpened. "Finally," she murmured. "I was starting to think this escape would be boring." The arena security system reacted with its usual subtlety. Alarms blared, bulkheads slammed shut at random, and automated turrets activated in corridors that still technically had personnel in them. Standard corporate panic. "Change of plan," I said, pulling my sidearm. "We were going to slip out quiet. Now we sprint." "I prefer sprinting," Lira said. "Of course you do." We burst out of the maintenance corridor into a wider passage lined with storage lockers. Red emergency strobes bathed everything in disorienting flashes. A pair of guards in arena uniforms rounded the corner ahead and froze at the sight of Lira, unchained. "7," one of them blurted. "How the—" I shot the alarm plate above their heads. Sparks showered down as the panel exploded, showering them with burning plastic. They dove for cover. "Run!" I snapped. Lira didn't need to be told twice. She lunged forward, with a predator's grace. No hesitation now. Whatever drugs had fogged her system burned away by adrenaline and rage. One guard raised his rifle. She reached him first. Her hand closed around the barrel, wrenching it aside as it fired wild into the ceiling. The other guard shouted, bringing his stun baton up. I put a round in the floor between his feet. "Drop it!" I barked. He dropped it, and then, belatedly, his blaster as well. Lira had the first guard pinned against the wall by his throat, feet kicking uselessly. Her glow marks blazed bright electric blue, eyes gone endless black with rage. "Lira," I said, stepping closer. "We don't have time for murder. Also, it's morally questionable, etc." "They sold children to the pits," she hissed, not looking at me. "They laughed when blood soaked the sand. I know their names. I know their faces." "I'm not saying they don't deserve a broken something," I said carefully. "I am saying we need them alive long enough for a trial so the prosecution sticks. Otherwise, they walk on a technicality and we both scream." She ground her teeth. For a moment, I thought she'd ignore me. Then she slammed the guard to the floor, hard enough to knock the wind out of him, but not enough to kill. He lay there wheezing. "I didn't say you couldn't bruise them," I added. Her lips curled. "Compromise," she said. "Very human." "Don't get used to it," I muttered. "Let's go." We pelted down the corridor, weaving through the mess of panicked staff and flashing warning lights. Every time we passed a junction, my visor pinged, overlaying suggested routes based on my preloaded map. Half of those paths were now blocked by emergency bulkheads. "It is like running through the veins of a dying beast," Lira said, breath steady despite our pace. "The walls close, the air tastes of panic." "Poetic," I said. "Remind me to get you a journal once we're not about to die." Turrets whirred to life ahead, dropping from the ceiling like angry metallic spiders. Sensors swept the corridor. "Down!" I yelled, dragging Lira behind a crate as the gun spat phosphor pulses. Energy blasts scorched the floor where we'd been a heartbeat before. Lira peered around the corner, calculating. "Their arc is limited," she said. "I can reach the base of the nearest." "Absolutely not," I said immediately. "Those things chew through armored drones." "I am not a drone," she said, offended. "That's literally my point," she frowned. "You have explosives?" "Not the fun kind," I said, rummaging in my belt pouch. "Just, I pulled out a fist-sized sphere studded with tiny contact pads. "EMP grenade," I said. "Shorts out electronics in a 7-meter radius. Also my visor, but I'll cope." She eyed it. "You trust your aim?" "Nope," I said cheerfully, priming it. "But I trust physics." I bounced it off the far wall. The turrets tracked the motion too late. The grenade landed under the lead gun, beeped, and detonated with a teeth-rattling whoomp. A ripple of invisible force rolled down the corridor. The turret spasmed, lights flickering, then sagged like puppets with cut strings. My visor display went dark, rebooting with a sulky whine. Lira grinned, sharp and delighted. "You threw a tiny star at them." "Star's generous," I said. "More like a very angry flashlight." We sprinted over the smoking remains. My visor came back online, recalibrating. Docking ring. 3 levels up, 2 sections over. As we ran, the arena intercom crackled overhead. "Security teams to section C12, a voice barked. "Gladiator 7 is loose. Repeat, 7 is loose. Lethal force authorized on her and any accomplices." Lyra's jaw tightened. "They will kill any who stand near me," she said. "Their fear is not subtle." "They were already willing to kill anyone in their way," I said. "Now we just know they're thinking about it out loud." That is not comforting. Didn't say it was. We reached a stairwell. I shoved the door open. We clattered up the metal steps 2 at a time. Footsteps echoed below. Pursuit. "Dane Calder," Lira said between strides. "If we fall, they will not grant you a clean death. They will make you spectacle. They will break you slowly." "Yeah, I read the brochure," I puffed. "Less talking, more climbing." "You do not fear this?" she pressed. "I am absolutely terrified," I said. "But if I stop to dwell on it, I will make worse jokes, and you'll regret choosing me as your mate." Her laugh bounced off the stairwell walls, bright and startled. "They will never believe you talk this much at your execution," she said. "I plan on never giving them the chance to find out." We burst onto the docking level. The air changed, colder, tinged with fuel vapors and recycled scrubber output. A row of bay doors curved along the outer hull, each with a corresponding viewport showing the hungry black of space beyond. My little corvette, the Dauntless, sat in Bay 7, her matte gray hull blending into the shadows. Between us and the ship, 6 armed guards, 3 automated drones, and 1 very annoyed arena overseer in a gold-trimmed coat. "Ah," Lira said. "Finally. A challenge." "Let me talk first," I muttered. "Do you always talk first?" she asked. "I try. People keep shooting anyway." We stepped out into the open. Weapons snapped up, sights settling on us. The overseer, a broad-shouldered human woman with ice-blonde hair and the kind of smile you usually saw on carnivorous plants, lifted a hand. "That's far enough," she called. "Gladiator 7. New handler I don't recognize. Care to explain why my most valuable asset is no longer in chains?" "Sure," I said, projecting my voice. "Short version. Because slavery is illegal and you're under arrest." There was a beat of stunned silence. Then the overseer started laughing. "Oh, that is rich," she said, wiping at her eyes. "You really think the Corps has jurisdiction out here, soldier boy?" "Corps has jurisdiction anywhere we can land a ship," I said. "And I've already sent your transaction records to 3 separate enforcement hubs, so you can lower your weapons, or we can add resisting arrest to the charges." Her gaze flicked to Lira. "And you, pet? You think this human can protect you? I own you. I branded your contract with my own hand." Lira stepped forward, glow marks flaring. "You own nothing," she said, voice low and lethal. "You only borrow lives until someone brave enough takes them back." "Poetic," the overseer sneered. "Kill the human, stun the asset. We can beat the fight out of her again." The nearest guard tightened his grip on his rifle. Lira moved. I'd seen combat footage of her species before. Fluid, fast, terrifying. None of it did reality justice. She blurred into motion, faster than my eyes could comfortably track. 1 second she was beside me. The next, she was inside their formation, hand snapping a rifle barrel aside as it fired. Her elbow hammered into a guard's throat. She used his collapsing body as a springboard, flipping over another man and kicking his weapon out of his hands. I took the opportunity to dive behind a cargo crate and return fire. 2 shots, center mass, dropped the drone closest to the Dauntless. Its chassis sparked, spiraling into the deck. "Non-lethal if you can manage it," I yelled, ducking as a bolt sizzled past my ear. Lira responded by breaking a guard's arm at the elbow instead of the shoulder. "Progress." The overseer snarled, grabbing a fallen stun baton and charging at me. I sidestepped, bringing my spanner up to parry. The baton crackled, the spanner hummed, and for a ridiculous moment we were dueling with what amounted to a fancy stick and a wrench. "This is not how I pictured my day," I grunted, blocking another blow. "You should have stayed in your lane, soldier," she hissed. "This is business, entertainment. The galaxy loves a good fight." "The galaxy can watch us court-martial you on live stream," I said. "We'll do popcorn." She lunged. I twisted, letting the baton glance off my shoulder. Pain flared. My arm went partly numb. I brought the spanner down hard on her wrist. Bone cracked. She screamed, dropping the baton. I kicked it away and leveled my sidearm at her chest. "Stand down," I said, voice flat. "Now!" She froze, panting. Around us, the last of the guards hit the deck, groaning. Lira stood over them, chest heaving, eyes wild. One drone remained. She ripped its sensor head off with a clean, vicious twist, tossing the sparking remains aside. Silence crashed down, broken only by alarms and labored breathing. Slowly, Lira turned to me. Her gaze took in the overseer at gunpoint, the scattered guards, the ship waiting beyond, ramp lowered like a promise. "We did it," she said, wonder threading through the words. "Step 1, I corrected. "Now we still have to leave before they scramble fighters and we end up as decorative space dust." She tilted her head. "Decorative?" "Later," I said. "On board. Move." She strode toward the Dauntless, glow marks still blazing. I walked the overseer ahead of me at gunpoint, slapping a pair of binding cuffs on her wrists as we went. She glared back at me, eyes full of poison. "You think this changes anything?" she spat. "The pits are everywhere, Calder. For every arena you shut down, 3 more will rise. The galaxy loves blood." "Maybe," I said, "but today it doesn't get yours." Lira looked back over her shoulder at that, eyes meeting mine. Something hot and fierce moved between us, shared defiance, shared exhaustion, the raw edge of survival. Later, I would think about the way my heart stuttered in that moment. Right then, I just shouted, "Welcome aboard!" and hustled us up the ramp into the waiting dark of the ship that might, if we were lucky and just stubborn enough, carry us both into a very different future. The ramp sealed behind us with a hydraulic hiss. Interior lights flicked on, warm and golden compared to the harsh white of the arena. The Dauntless hummed around us like a restless animal. "Cargo bay locked," the ship's onboard announced in a pleasant contralto. "Welcome back, Lieutenant Calder. You appear to have acquired additional persons." "It's a long story, Ivy," I said. "Prep for hard launch. Full burn. Emergency vector Delta 6 through 9. We're leaving in a hurry." "Understood," Ivy replied. "Threat assessment?" "High," I said. "Assume they're scrambling everything that can fly." "Delightful," Ivy said. "Initiating pre-flight." Lyra's gaze swept the hangar, stacked supply crates, mag clamps, the ladder to the upper deck. Her glow marks had dimmed a little, settling from electric blue to a calmer turquoise, but her shoulders were still taut with readiness. "This ship," she murmured. "It feels awake." "Shipboard AI," I said. "Say hi." "Hello," Ivy said through the overhead speakers. "You are not registered crew. Would you like a provisional profile?" Lyra's eyes widened. "The walls speak." "The walls are snarky," I corrected. "Come on. Bridge is upstairs." I shoved the overseer down onto a crate and keyed the restraints into the deck. Magnetics engaged with a heavy clunk. She glared up at me. "You can't just fly out," she said. "Docking control won't clear you. We hold the bay locks." "Not today you don't," I said. "I spiked your control grid on the way in. Your precious locks are about to have an identity crisis." "You arrogant little—" "Enjoy pondering your life choices," I said, and turned away. Lira lingered a half-second, then stepped close to the overseer, expression flat. "You will remember every scream from the pits," she said quietly. "When the tribunal asks, you will not pretend not to know. If you lie, I will know. And I will come back." The overseer blanched. "You'll be dead before there's a tribunal." Lira smiled faintly. "You underestimate human stubbornness." Then she followed me up the ladder to the upper deck. The Dauntless's cockpit was compact but efficient. 2 pilot chairs, a wraparound window currently showing bay walls and docking clamps, hollow displays flickering with system readouts. I dropped into the left seat, hands moving on muscle memory. Bay pressure equalized, Ivy reported. External clamps disengaging. Docking authority is requesting clarification for your flight plan. Tell them we're leaving, I said. No flight plan. Emergency departure under Core Directive 197. That will not appease them. Wasn't trying to appease them. Lira stood behind my chair, fingers gripping the backrest hard enough that the synthetic leather creaked. You trust this machine with your life, she said. I trust me with my life, I said. The machine just does what I tell it. That is what the arena masters thought of us, she said softly. I paused, hands hovering over the controls. Ivy, I said, show Lira your parameters. A soft chime. Holotext scrolled up in the air beside us. Asimov-style safety locks, corpse ethics protocols, a dizzying list of restrictions and safeguards. I can refuse unlawful orders, Ivy said. I may not, under any circumstances, knowingly harm a sentient being unless it is in self-defense or in the defense of others. I may also make annoying comments if Dane attempts anything statistically stupid. That last one is not in your base parameters, I muttered. I inferred it, she said. Lyra's grip eased slightly. You are a person? She asked the air. In the legal sense, yes, Ivy said. In the philosophical sense, that remains contested. Personally, I choose to identify as better than most pilots. Lira looked thoroughly baffled. Humans make people out of metal walls, she said, and then give them rules. We learned that making people without rules ends badly, I said. Strap in. She hesitated, then slid into the co-pilot seat, not quite gracefully, but with determination. Her hands hovered awkwardly over the harness. Here, I said, leaning over to guide the straps. Shoulder, waist, clip. If we get hit on launch, you do not want to become purple jam on the ceiling. Purple jam, she echoed, amused despite herself. You make everything a joke. It keeps me from screaming, I said. Ready, Ivy? Docking clamps are still arguing, Ivy said. They insist you do not have clearance. Override, Calder priority. Overriding. And we are off. The gentle vibration under our feet shifted as the bay clamps released. The Dauntless drifted forward on thrusters, nose angling toward the shimmering blue curtain of the bay's force field. Hull pressurization stable, Ivy said. External weapons charging. By the way, there is a 10-to-1 chance they will simply shoot at us when we breach. 10-to-1 against, right? I said. 10-to-1 for, she said. Love the optimism. You programmed my threat assessment module. Lira watched the bay force field with wide eyes. Is that sky? Vacuum, I said. Do not open a window. You have openable windows? That was a joke. Her mouth curved. This is confusing. Welcome to human courtship, I said, then immediately regretted it. She turned her head slowly toward me. Courtship? I said culture, I lied badly. Welcome to human culture. Her smile turned slow and dangerous. You are a worse liar than you are a pilot. Hey, I protested, and then the ship hit the force field. Space swallowed us. The immediate threat when you steal a slave from a criminal syndicate isn't the vacuum outside. It's the very large guns they point at you from nearby platforms. 3 blips flared red on the threat display the instant we cleared the bay. Local patrol craft, small but heavily armed. Their transponders pinged challenge codes at us. Fighters launching, Ivy said. They appear unhappy. Rude to put that in a tone of surprise, I said, hands flying over the console. Route power to shields. Plot evasive pattern beta 2. Done. Incoming hail from docking control. They sound shouty. Mute them, I said. We'll send them a fruit basket later. I have never seen you send anyone a fruit basket, Ivy said. There's a first time for everything. Heavier klaxons started wailing as the patrol craft locked target. Lira gripped the armrests, jaw clenched. "Can they catch us?" she asked. "Not if I do my job right," I said, "and if the engines don't decide to explode in protest." "Engines," Ivy said. "Would like it noted that they heard that. Tell engines I love them and would never let anything bad happen to them." Engines are unconvinced but flattered. A burst of energy fire streaked past the viewport, white-hot lines against the darkness. "Whoa," I said, jerking the stick. "Okay, they're not messing around." The Dauntless rolled hard, inertia compensators whining. Lira sucked in a breath, pressed back into her seat. "This is flight," she said. "This feels like falling sideways while the universe screams." "That's not inaccurate," I said. "Hold on to your lunch." The fighters swung in behind us, trying to lock onto our exhaust bloom. "Suggest dumping carbon chaff," Ivy said, "and perhaps not flying in quite such a straight line." "Plot me. A spiral," I said. "I have plotted 17. The least suicidal one is on your HUD." I dragged the ship through it, slewing sharply, cutting thrust, then kicking it back just as one fighter overshot. We streaked under its belly. Lyra's eyes were huge, pupils dilated so wide her irises were slivers of neon. "You fight with the ship," she whispered, "like it is an extension of your body." "Lot cheaper than replacing my actual body," I said. "Hang on." One of the patrol craft got a missile lock. Warning tones shrieked. "Incoming," Ivy said. "Guided, high yield, limited maneuverability." "Like an angry shark with a concussion," I said. "Countermeasures? Ready. Do it." Flares burst from our underside, flaring brilliant on sensors. The missile swerved, confused, then detonated prematurely, a blossoming fireball that washed the shields in angry light. "Shields holding at 60%, Ivy reported. "Minor scorches. Aesthetic damage only." "That's the only kind I allow," I said. Lira laughed, a short, wild sound. "You mock death." "Death started it," I said. "I'm just committing to the bit." She shook her head, glow marks rippling. "On my world, we sing when the blades fly. It is our way of spitting in fear's eye. You make sarcasm." "I'd pay money to hear you sing while we dodge missiles," I said. "Very cinematic." Her gaze went distant for a heartbeat, something like grief passing over her features. "There are no others left to sing with me," she said. The moment stabbed sharp behind my ribs. I wanted to say 100 things, and had time for none of them. "We'll fix that," I said instead. "Somehow?" Another volley lanced past. One fighter cut across our nose, trying to herd us back toward the asteroid base's gun platforms. "Nope," I said. "I've seen what happens to people who go back." "Recommend micro jump," Ivy said. "Short range. Puts us outside their interdiction bubble." "Do we have charge for that?" "If we divert power from non-essential systems," she said. "What counts as non-essential?" I asked. "Artificial gravity," she said. I grimaced. "How much do we like not ricocheting around the cabin? On a scale of 1 to 10? "Ivy," she sighed. "Fine. Diverting from secondary weapons instead. Micro jump in 3, 2... Space twisted. The stars stretched into bright lines, then snapped back. My stomach tried to take up a new life in my throat. "Jump complete," Ivy said. "We are now 200,000 kilometers anti-spinward from the arena. Their fighters are out of effective range." I blew out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Lira unclenched her fingers from the armrests, leaving faint grooves. "We are away," she whispered. "For now," Ivy said. "Local syndicate channels are very agitated. There is a bounty on your head, Dane, and a much larger one. On Lira's." "How much?" I asked. "Combined. Enough to buy a small moon," she said. I whistled. Flattering. Also deeply inconvenient. "If it helps," Ivy added. "Our transmission to Core Command got through. They've acknowledged receipt. Backup is pending." "Which means we're on our own for at least a few hours," I said, working through the calculus. "All right. Set course for relay station D43. Sublight, power-saving mode. Let's get out of their immediate neighborhood." course plotted, Ivy said. ETA, 6 hours, 12 minutes. Lira relaxed incrementally as the threat display quieted, red icons fading. Her gaze drifted to the stars beyond the viewport. I have not seen them like this since... She trailed off. Since before the pits, I guessed. She nodded once. They're better without a cage in front of them, I said. Yes, she murmured. Yes, they are. For a while, we just sat there. No alarms, no shouting. Just the soft hum of the ship and the endless dark, pricked with distant light. Eventually, Ivy quietly dimmed the overheads, as if the Dauntless herself understood the gravity of the moment. Lyra's glow marks softened to a low, steady pulse. You risked your life, she said at last, still watching the stars. For me. You broke your mission plan, your codes, your jurisdiction. I prefer to think I updated my mission plan on the fly, I said. The codes don't explicitly say do nothing when you see someone chained to a floor, you know. They should, she said, working on it. You do not regret it? My first instinct was to make a joke. Something flippant, easy. I didn't. No, I said. I don't. She turned toward me. In that case, she said very seriously, I repeat my decision. I braced. Which decision? Her lips curved. You are my chosen, my mate intent. She rolled the human words like they might break. Unless you tell me clearly to cease. I ran a hand through my hair, stalling. Lira. You may say no, she said gently. You spoke of consent. I have been owned, handled, commanded. I will not do this to you. But know this, Dane Calder. My heart beat faster when you opened that lock. It did not slow when the guns fired. It beats strange now. I swallowed. You realize we barely know each other, right? Her eyes flashed. In the pits, you know someone in a breath, who throws you a shield when the spears fall, who looks away when the masters choose, who laughs when a child bleeds. Time is not the only measure of knowing. That is an unfairly persuasive argument, I said. It is an honest one. I sighed, looking back at the stars. My life is messy, I said. I spend a lot of it being shot at. I am bad at sleeping, worse at talking about my feelings, and I own exactly 3 shirts that aren't standard issue. You deserve someone better put together than that. I do not require a shrine, she said. I require a partner who believes I am a person, not a weapon. You have already met the hardest requirement. You're very stubborn, I said. So are you, she replied. This is why we will either be very good together or explode. That's not reassuring. It was not meant to be, she said, and smiled. There it was, the moment my carefully maintained isolation cracked. I'm not saying yes, I said slowly. Not yet, but I'm not saying no either. Her glow marks brightened, just a little. This is acceptable, she said. On my world, we would call this letting the river choose its own path. On mine, we call it taking things slow, I said. Step 1, not getting arrested for kidnapping you. Rescuing, she corrected, echoing me from earlier. I snorted. Right. Rescuing. Her hand drifted, as if of its own accord, to the back of my chair, not quite touching my shoulder, not quite not. We should rest, she said at last. You have been fighting, flying, arguing with machines. Ivy argues with me, I said. Debatable, Ivy said. Lyra's eyes glinted. Even your ship does not submit. Healthy boundaries, I said. You should rest too. You look... Careful, she warned, a spark of humor returning. Choose your words. Like someone who's been drugged, starved, and forced to fight for entertainment, I finished bluntly. You're strong, but your body needs time to catch up to your will. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't contradict me. I will not be weak, she said. Being tired isn't weakness, I replied. It's biology. Trust me, I lose fights with my own biology all the time. She considered that, then nodded once. Very well, she said. Show me where your nest is. I choked. My what? Your sleeping place, she clarified, rolling her eyes. We called them nests, places where we could rest without fear. Do humans not have such? I said, we call them bunks, or beds, or in my case, that sad little rectangle with a lumpy pillow on the lower deck. That will be your nest, she declared. You will sleep there. I will sleep here. In the cockpit? I asked. Yes, she said. I prefer to see danger coming. Or we could give you the crew quarters, I said. They're actually nicer than mine. Less pipe. More privacy. She frowned faintly. And you? I'll take my sad rectangle, I said. We're a small operation, Lira. The luxury spa wing is under construction. She tilted her head. Your laws, your consent, your messy life. If I asked to share your nest now, you would say no. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Yes, I said, because you're still processing trauma. Because your whole life has been people taking what they want from your body without asking. I won't be one of them. Silence settled. Then she smiled, slow and genuine. Very well, she said. I accept your no. For now. Threat noted, I muttered. She rose, unbuckling the harness. Her legs were steadier now, though I could tell every movement cost. Training and sheer stubbornness holding her together. I will sleep in the quarters you offer, she said, but call me if danger nears. I would not miss another chance to throw myself at it. You say the sweetest things, I said. She leaned down, close enough that I could see tiny flecks of silver in her irises. You mock, she murmured, but this is how my people say we trust. We stand between each other and the blades. Her hand touched my shoulder, brief and warm, and then she was moving toward the hatch, leaving a faint trail of bioluminescent glow in the dim cockpit. Dane, she said from the doorway. Yeah? You are wrong about one thing. Just one? I'm improving. You said I deserved someone better put together. Her gaze was steady. On my world, we do not choose mates for neatness. We choose them for the way they stand in front of chains, for the way they laugh at death, for the way they say no when it would be easier to say yes. My throat went oddly tight. I'll keep that in mind, I managed. Do, she said simply. Sleep, human. The hatch slid shut behind her. I sank back in the pilot's chair, stared at the stars, and let the weight of everything settle. Well, Ivy said, after a respectfully long pause, you are in trouble. Emotionally? Logistically? Legally? I asked. All of the above, she said. However, I am obligated to inform you that your heart rate increased 30% when she touched your shoulder. Snitches get glitches, I muttered. I will add that to my ethics protocols, she said dryly. Consider taking a nap, Dane. I can watch the ship. You sure? Unlike you, I do not require sleep, she said. And even if I did, I would not spend it pining. I'm not pining, I protested. Recorded for later review, she said. Go, before you fall asleep in the chair and drool on my console again. That happened once, I said, levering myself up, and you bring it up every time. It was traumatic, she said, for my sensors. I snorted, headed for the hatch, and tried very hard not to think about the fact that somewhere below, in the crew quarters, a violet-skinned warrior who had decided I was hers was trying to sleep without chains for the first time in years. I woke up to the smell of something burning. That wasn't unusual, strictly speaking. Starships are 1 part precision engineering, 1 part duct tape and prayer. But usually Ivy shouted at me before letting anything actually ignite. Ivy? I croaked, half tangled in my blanket. Are we on fire? Not currently, she said serenely. The smoke is coming from the galley. Why is the galley on fire? The galley is not on fire, she corrected. The food is on fire. Lira is attempting to cook. That got me moving faster than any alarm klaxon. I scrambled out of bed, stubbed my toe on the bulkhead, classic, and limped barefoot down the corridor toward the communal space that dignified itself as galley. The door slid open to reveal a scene best described as culinary war crime. Lira stood at the stove, holding a pan with a charred something in it. Smoke curled lazily toward the ceiling vent. She'd found one of my spare shirts, too big for her, sleeves rolled up, hem brushing her thighs, and tied it at the waist. Her hair was loose, a pale silver curtain down her back. Her glow marks shimmered with a greenish hue I hadn't seen before. She looked relaxed, except for the way she frowned at the pan like it had personally betrayed her. "I followed the instructions," she protested as I entered. "Heat, oil, eggs, turn, but it became black." "That happens," I said, crossing to hit the vent override. "The eggs? Or time itself?" She tilted the pan. A disk of something that had once been an omelet slid, grudgingly, to one side. "It still has shape," she said. "This is good, yes?" "It's a shape," I said diplomatically. "Morning." She glanced at me, taking in my rumpled undershirt and toe-ruffled hair. "Your nest was kind to you," she said. "You look less like a dead thing." "Compliment noted," I said. "How'd you sleep?" Her expression flickered. "The silence was loud," she said. "No chains, no shouting. My body kept waiting for the shock." I leaned against the counter, arms folded. "Any nightmares?" "Yes," she said simply, "but they did not win." "Good," I said. "You, don't have to cook, you know. There's a perfectly respectable supply of nutrient packs in the pantry that require no fire at all." "You eat paste," she said, making a face. "Gray paste, brown paste, sometimes slightly green paste. This is a war crime." "That's hurtful," I said. "Also accurate." She poked the burned omelet with a spatula. It flaked ominously. "On my world," she said, "we make morning breads, spiced with star root, shared with family before training. Smell of it would fill the nests." Her voice went soft with memory. "I wish to make something like that, for you and for me, to say this is not the pits, this is a beginning." I stared at the pan, at her. Emotion rose, unexpected and hot. "You made me breakfast," I said. "I attempted to," she corrected, scowling at the food. "The pan betrayed me." "You were supposed to put oil in before the eggs," I said gently, taking the pan from her. "Here, let me show you." Her brows lifted. "You cook?" "Barely," I said. "But I've dated 3 chefs and 1 engineer who thought they were a chef. I picked up a few things. And now you will use this knowledge for me." "It's either that or we die of food poisoning," I said, turning on the heat, which would be a deeply anticlimactic way to go after yesterday. She moved aside, watching intently as I poured a slick of oil, waited for it to shimmer, then cracked eggs into a bowl and whisked them. Her eyes tracked every movement. "You are different now," she said, after a moment. "Different how?" I asked, pouring the eggs into the pan. "Less armor," she said. "No uniform, no mission voice. You are softer." "I'm not on the clock," I said. "Even soldiers get to be people in the morning." She considered that. "I do not know how to be anything but a weapon," she said quietly. "You made me breakfast," I pointed out. "Terrible breakfast, but breakfast." Her mouth quirked. "You risked death to save a stranger. We are both poorly trained in being only what we are told to be." "Good," I said. "That sounds boring." We cooked in companionable silence for a few minutes. I slid the omelet onto 2 plates, adding a side of toasted ration bread for texture and dignity. Lira sniffed cautiously. "It does not smell like my people's food," she said, "but it smells not awful." "Highest praise," I said. We sat at the tiny fold-out table. She watched me take the first bite, as if waiting to see if I keeled over. When I stayed upright, she speared a corner and tried it. Her eyes widened. "This is acceptable," she declared. "Try not to sprain anything with that enthusiasm," I said. Color crept into her cheeks, deeper violet tinged with blue. "It is good," she said more firmly. "Different, but good." Her glow mark shifted to that greenish hue again, pulsing softly. "Question," I said around a mouthful. "Do your markings change color based on mood, or am I hallucinating from smoke inhalation?" She blinked, glancing down at her forearms as if she'd forgotten they were there. "They respond to biochemistry," she said. "Fear, anger, arousal, calm. They are a map of the self." "So right now you're content," she said. "And curious." "Good combo," I said. "In the pits," she continued, "the masters liked when we flared bright. They said it excited the crowd. They would hurt us to make us glow. I learned to dim them, to show nothing." Her glow marks flickered, then settled into a steady pattern. "I do not wish to hide them here," she added. "Then don't," I said. "They're beautiful." She froze. For the first time since I met her, she looked genuinely thrown. "You think so?" she said, as if testing the idea. "Yeah," I said, surprised she had to ask. You're beautiful, Lira. Not because the arena said so, because you are. Armor, scars, glow marks, all of it." Her throat worked. "You are very direct." "The pits didn't have mirrors?" I asked gently. "They had reflective metal," she said, "but when I looked, I saw what they told me to see. Asset. Weapon. Property." My own eyes lied to me more than any mirror. "Well," I said, "consider this your official update. Your eyes were wrong. They're fired. You're stunning. End of memo." Her glow marks flashed bright teal. "Human compliments are aggressive." "You'll live," I said. "And speaking of living, what do you want to do with yours, now that we've stolen it back?" She took another bite, chewing slowly, considering. "I wish to see my home," she said, "to know if anyone still breathes under those stars. I wish to break the chains of others like me. I wish to learn your jokes, so I may mock death properly. And," she looked at me, steady, "I wish to see where your river goes, even if it is messy." "That's a lot of wishes," I said. "Good thing we've got time." "Maybe. Assuming nobody blows us up." As if on cue, Ivy's voice floated in from the ceiling. "Speaking of not being blown up," she said, "long-range scanners have picked up a vessel on intercept course. Drives signature matches, known syndicate pursuit class. ETA, 2 hours. Lira set her fork down with deliberate care. "They are hunting," she said. "Looks like it," I said, my appetite evaporating. "Can we outrun them, Ivy?" "Not indefinitely," she said. "Their engines are more powerful. However, they lack my charming personality." "Can we hide?" I asked. "Any nebulae, debris fields, or conveniently placed black holes?" "Nearest nebula is 3 light hours out of the way," she said. "Black holes remain stubbornly unwilling to appear where convenient. There is, however, a dense asteroid cluster along their projected path." Lyra's eyes lit. "Stones," she said. "Cover." "Or a grave," Ivy said. "Oh, come on," I groaned. "One of us has to be optimistic." "I am optimistic that this will be exciting," Ivy said. Lira straightened, shoulders rolling back. "Another fight, then," she said. "Good. I was starting to think freedom was only eggs and staring at stars." "Just for the record," I said, standing, "some of us like the eggs and stars part." She smiled, sharp and eager. "We will have more of that later, after we cut the claws from the hunters. You're aware my entire tactical training says charging into an asteroid cluster with a hostile on our tail is a bad idea," I said. "Yes," she said. "You are also the man who broke a chain attached to a floor in the middle of a mission. I do not believe you obey your training as much as you claim." "That's a low blow," I muttered. She rose, coming around the table to stand very close. "Dane Calder," she said, eyes shining. "Do you trust me in a fight?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Then let us choose our ground," she said. "On my world, we say, do not wait for the storm in the open. Walk into the forest and make it fight your trees." That's more poetic than run away and hide behind rocks, I said. Fine. Ivy, plot us into the asteroid cluster. You are all insane, Ivy said. Course laid in. Lyra's hand brushed mine. Accidental or not, I couldn't tell. Her glow marks burned bright. We will not let them put chains on me again, she said softly. Not happening, I said. They want you. They're going to have to go through about 1,000 very loud, very dangerous bad choices on my part. Her smile returned, small and fierce. Good, she said. I chose my human well. The end. If you loved this human alien chaos, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share this story with another HFY gremlin who needs it in their life.